The other one.
And this, just to show you this little note, the color here is exactly what was showing up on the screen in the other image, but because it's reduced, it's hard to see.
And I'm sure that you've been, well, I'm not going to assume that you've used a program, but you know, when you try and match colors with programs, sometimes those colors don't really turn out the way that you want it to. And so that, it's difficult to judge a color, particularly even screens, even your computer screen can skew colors. So that's tough. It's a tough judgment call.
What I wanted to throw out there was that I believe if that showed up more as a red on that image, that I think that visually that red would tie in with the red brick as a visual.
And this is exactly what it would be.
Yes, I don't think that ties in with
Right.
red brick.
Not the lighted, but a painted red band would be a red, obviously a red tone. And I think that would be, I mean, it's at least in the same color family, not the earth tone brass.
So is the base brick that's tan right now, it's similar to the brick that's in the red, right? That's next door, it's
Yes, I mean,
tan.
Exactly. They're the same. It's the same material. It's yes. It's even an earth tone base. So you know, it's not verbatim matching red. And the red, I would say, is more of an orangish red. You know, a fire brick red. And so that color is very well. Again, I don't think it's going to fit with the other branding elements for our best bank. And that's the challenge that I have, is that once we start changing one color, we have to look at the entire palette of colors. And we're turning something that's important to our best into something different. And, you know, branding to all corporations, I think, is the most critical element. When customers relate that color from space to space, there's a lot of advantages for that.
Is the brick in the image on the screen, is that the same color that you'd be using on the?
So that does not look like a prototypical building like we're seeing. So I don't know if I can confirm that.
Okay.
You know, and again, all of these are non-prototypical, kind of going into existing spaces, and so I cannot confirm that here now.
I just noticed it used to be a different bank, so it probably would not be ours.
Right.
Initially, I kind of liked the red brick idea. However, I do understand the branding aspect of it, so I'd probably be, I think I'm all right with the plan as is. The red lighting does concern me though, if that's on. But if we're gonna not light it, I think I'd be all right with that.
I don't believe that it coordinates with the existing condition or with the existing buildings. And even though they say that it's not a campus, they're sharing parking and they're making it all one area.
I know, and this is where it gets difficult because
And it's
in
not that
my
I don't.
opinion, it's like I don't care that it doesn't coordinate so well. I think it's just a really attractive building. There's a little bit of distance. And it's like, in its opinion, I like that building better than I like the brick building. So of course, that's what I would rather see. And I'm sure there'd be, if it goes, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people saying, why didn't you have it?
And the brick buildings are there today. If we had this on the corner and then they wanted to build the brick buildings, we wouldn't allow that. Or we would want some type of coordination between those buildings. We're not there. We're the other way around, where the brick buildings are already there. I understand the branding, but as we saw, there's other Arvest banks out there that do not match that exact branding.
I know, but do we want an Arvest Bank in Gardner, Kansas? I do. And
We have one currently in the other end of that building there.
right, well, I mean, we want this Arvest.
I mean, as a stepping stone, I think that's really what why they went into that space is, you know, with the landlord and their agreements. I'm not gonna get into that, but, you know, Gardner, Kansas is a very attractive city, and this building is gonna make it even more attractive. It's not a blank building, there's lots of reveals, there's lots of intricate details in the facade. It's not just like the middle building where you have a flat brick wall. They've really tried to go into detail and kind of sharpen this building up. And so I don't think it's gonna be a detriment to the city. I think that you will relate to the buildings across the street. And again, even though from a zoning aspect, these three buildings are together, from a visual standpoint, you're not gonna just single those three buildings out. Your eyes will connect everything. And so I guess I ask that, while I completely agree with your opinion, I ask that you step out of the zoning, just looking at it from a site plan perspective, and look at the entire context of the buildings across the street that are brick and kind of an earthy tone. You know, and even the spot across, I think there's another vacant lot on the other side that has a water tower. So again, I think that it's going to increase value in that area. It's
You
gonna,
can coordinate with the water tower.
it's not going to. I guess that was what I was trying to prove, is that you know, it's right next to it, but it's going to be different.
And the water tower's not on Main Street.
Visually, it still is. And
Yeah, I think what we're, if I can try and speak for my fellow commissioners, I think the problems that we're having is that it's been presented as a one site, sharing certain amenities and whatnot. I believe that this were a single site, and there wasn't ties into the other sites, and it wasn't a coordinated site plan, then it wouldn't be a problem. I think you could ask 10 different people and get 10 different opinions on whether or not this, you know, what's right and what's wrong. So, you know, I think personally, I will just give some deference to the applicant on trying to balance both the branding for the corporation with the site. I think I see some elements in here that do tie in, and being sensitive enough to not want to push the lighted band, which wouldn't go as on our list.
Yeah, I found that image like stucco, prototype.
so this is not exactly the same. So again, we try to bring in brick to relate to this site. And so again, we're trying our best to meet your guidelines, but get the branding across for our best.
I didn't see the red on the previous one you just clicked.
If you go to kind of a perspective view, a couple back, the red is a little bit, so there, do you see that a little bit better? That is basically what what it would look like at this site. It would just appear red, and again, no light source from that. No light would be emitting from that band.
Are those two columns, are those how this plan is, are those very similar?
It's similar, except the area that's below is brick, but the area above will be similar.
Because now that I've seen these columns, I mean, those tie into the other buildings really well, because they already have the column
And that's what we're really trying to do is, you know,
on the front.
we're trying our best to tie into the existing condition without matching it exactly and completely destroying the brand for our best.
Can you go back to that previous one that didn't have the red? The one that's 2 or 3 to the left?
Now, at this angle on the picture that's on the screen right now, you can see that those are columns. I can't tell on the.
Yeah, you couldn't tell the
Are those
columns.
columns?
Yes, sir.
On this I couldn't tell, but here.
It's like a column, except it's not freestanding.
Right.
We do have freestanding white columns in front, so again, while it's not a colonial look, it's still, you know, it's a steel white column, so it has the same